Welcome to this conversation with the Morning Tea Marketing Misses. What we're doing this month, rather than discussing topics as we've been sharing throughout the last 2 years on everything from finance in business to accountability to goal setting, we are talking about each one of us individually so that you can learn a little bit more about what we do in business, how we do business, why we do what we do, but also what motivates us and keeps us interested in what we do on the weekends. And I think that Lara was our last week's interview, and she's decided that she's going to put Jan through the ringer today.
Jan, thank you, Janine. So, Jan, one of the things I've always admired about you is that you're not only an amazing web designer and host, and you're fantastic when it comes to technology, as is the amazing Narelle as well. Hats off to you, Narelle, with what you do for technology. My goodness. Jan, and you do that for a living, so you help people and businesses with their technology. As well as that, you're a world weightlifting champion. Like, how did those two come together? You're amazing.
How did they come together? Well, BizConnect Web Design came to life, a second marriage for both Patrick and I. So we brought our individual skills and businesses together, and then we decided to shelve one and develop another. So Pat has an IT background that he's had for 30 whatever years. And so we went into web design. We went through education, a lot of education around web design. And so for the last 7-ish years, we've been helping small local businesses to be found online. Yeah. So the expertise and the focus being around SEO, search engine optimization. So we create websites that attract the bees to the honey, right? So we help our clients to find their ideal customers online. So as far as, well, powerlifting, actually, I mean, I know I'm lifting weights, but weightlifting is a different sport to powerlifting, and powerlifting is what I do.
What's the difference?
There is a difference. So the difference is the disciplines. So powerlifting is 3 disciplines, which are squat, bench press, and deadlift. And weightlifting, there's lots of other things, and I don't even know what all of them are. So I've heard of the snatch and I've heard of whatever, but they are different exercises. Yeah, so quite different exercises. So some of them, you do above your head. I have no hope of doing anything above my head. So how I got into the sport was, in fact, 10 years and 3 weeks ago to the day, I went through emergency surgery that I almost lost my life threw me instantly into menopause, and then going through the healing process, I was introduced to a strength and conditioning coach. So before long, I was introduced to powerlifting through a really good friend of mine who was a world champion powerlifter at the time. She unfortunately passed away through COVID 2 weeks after having an AstraZeneca vaccine, but we won't go into that. So yeah, Glenda was the one who introduced me to powerlifting. And from there, she encouraged me to enter a novice event, which I did, and I won. I beat women who were half my age. Wow. And so, of course, I was hooked. So then I joined Powerlifting Australia, and on I went from there, and there hasn't been a competition that I've competed in that I haven't won a medal or taken a record.
Woohoo!
I know. So
amazing. Yes. So that motivates you to keep going then, doesn't
exactly.
it?
Exactly. You thought I was hooked after the first event. So
incredible.
In fact, it's now 6 weeks ago. I competed at my first World Championships, and, we took 3 Australian, 3 Oceania, 3 world records, a couple of personal bests and a gold medal. So that was a pretty good day.
Sensational. My goodness.
Awesome. And so from here, I'm actually going to hold a powerlifting comp myself on the 1st of March. So that's going to be held at Dolphins. And so we're literally in the middle of getting all of the planning sorted for that.
Amazing.
And so at first, because I'm the meet director, you know, there's a lot to do and a lot to coordinate and so on and so on. But now I'm toying with the idea of actually competing on the day. Anyway,
Can you run the meet and compete?
I can, because there's a good team, and so we just make sure that all of the refs are organised, everything's organised, so that I could very well compete.
Wow.
And I was at the gym this morning and I was talking with a client of mine who is actually my physio, and I was saying, oh, you know, I'm debating, I'd have to do this and I couldn't imagine going into a competition and not taking some records, right? So this is my dilemma. I would have to do 129 kilo squat.
Wow.
For me to take an Australian bench record, I would have to do a 75 kilo bench. And to take another world record in deadlift, I would have to do 162 kilo deadlift.
Goodness.
Oh my gosh.
And he looked at me and he said, so what's your challenge? I said, I don't have one. So there you go.
I have a challenge.
What's
What
that?
about the Olympics?
Oh, well,
Yeah.
if it was an Olympic
It's not an Olympic sport.
it is not an Olympic sport.
Weightlifting is.
Weightlifting is.
But how come it's not?
Look, for years, there's always been this thing about drugs, whatever. I mean, there's drugs in every sport.
Yeah.
And the federation that I'm involved in is a drug-tested federation. So, but there are so many, I appreciate there are so many federations that are not drug tested, and you can see just by looking at some of the women that they're juiced up to the eyeballs, right? So, but there is powerlifting in the Olympics. I don't qualify for that. So,
lose your sight, Jan. Just lose your sight. It's a wonderful world.
And look, you have to be a para. So, you know, you either have to have some physical challenges, like a good friend of mine, Hani Watson. She competed in the Paris Paralympic Games, and she's just amazing. She actually has worked with me on my bench press, so she'll be working with me. Like when we had dinner together after the World Championship, and she just said to me, "You got 100 kilo bench in you," and I said, "What? I'm trying to get to 80."
Wow.
So, because I did 70 at my last comp. So,
Goodness.
bench for women typically takes a lot longer to be able to progress. In weight.
Muscles aren't as big as the men's, whereas the leg muscles have a lot more opportunity to.
Absolutely, yeah. Right. So we do really, like, we can jump leaps and bounds in our weights and so on with squat, but more so deadlift. Well, that's my experience. But the bench, I did have a mental block around it, but I broke through that at that World Championship. So I'm excited about my bench now, which is really great.
Is it something that your drug-free federation can petition the Olympic sport? Because I mean,
look, they've been trying for years.
Really?
Yeah, they've been trying for years. So we'll just see.
Well, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
We're right here in Brisbane, and it's time.
Actually, I had the opportunity to go to the Pan Pacs a few weeks ago.
Okay.
But I decided not to, because, you know, it had only been 3 or 4 weeks or something after
the Worlds.
Something like that. Yeah, it was only about that. Yeah. So I just thought, oh no, I'll just give it a miss, and I'll see if I'll get myself organised for the Worlds. So this comp that I'm going to hold, there's a man by the name of Matty Ticker, and he has been sponsoring these comps for about 20 years now. He is now 83, and he is soon after this, he's going to be moving back to Scandinavia or wherever it was he came from. But he's a very strong man himself, and he's going to be competing, and he will take world records on that day. 83 years old.
Wow, incredible. Amazing, isn't it?
So yeah, and so he donates prizes. So my comp is going to have a $15,000 prize pool.
Wow.
So $5,000 diamond to the best female lifter, $5,000 emerald or opal, whatever it's going to be, to the best male lifter, and there's going to be 5,000 worth of something to the best bench. So yeah, that's pretty exciting.
Wow, that's super cool.
So
Yeah.
it's
So,
really,
So
yeah.
Jen,
What do you do in your
all of-
spare time then,
well,
Jen?
that's what
Yeah.
my question is going to be as
Yeah.
well.
that's my next question. Like, how do you fit it all in?
So look, I love what I do. Like, my sport gives me, it gives me so much that I use in my every single day. My business, my personal life, it helps me with my mental health. It just helps me with me being strong physically and mentally. It just gives me, and like you hear the saying, oh, you're a gym junkie. Well, I'd rather be a gym junkie than a, I don't know what junkie. So
Couch potato, we could go there.
yeah, exactly. So I just love it. And like this morning, I had a new lady start, and she's in her 60s, and she was scared of falling, right? So I had the ladies, I had a group session this morning. So I had the ladies on the floor doing, you know, some glute bridges. And when it came time to get back up, I could see she was really struggling, even just to get onto her hands and knees and then to be able to get herself up. And I put my hand out, and I grabbed her, and I said, my arm is here if you need. I am strong, right? So I said, you can hold on to me and I will hold you. And so she was almost shaking. I'm scared about falling. I said, you're not going to fall. I've got you. So helping her up, I've got goosebumps. Helping her up that's made my day. All right. So just talking with her and helping her feel safe on my watch, she was safe. And just the look on her face, she was so happy after that, because I just kept talking with her. This is something brand new. She's taken a big leap of faith to now start looking after her health and her strength. So, you know, these beautiful ladies and gents that, you know, they get older and they realize, hey, I've got no choice now but to go and make my body strong.
That's really interesting, because both Narella and I are in our 60s, you know, to be able to, mid 60s plus, to be able
Well,
to
some of us are mid
think that
60s, some of us are still, you know, babies.
okay, so I'm the oldest here, am I? I'm just saying.
Yes.
Well, 3 weeks ago I turned 56.
Yeah, okay.
You're still a baby.
All right, so mine's the reverse of that, Jan.
Okay.
Yeah, turn it around the other way.
Excellent.
So, but I know, because Narelle and I, you know, walk and do all that. So that it's, and I've just come back from Sri Lanka and done a walk up the big rock and all of that stuff without, you know, puffing, definitely puffing,
Yes.
but without thought of falling or anything. And yeah,
You're all very active, and you play golf, and you know, you've
makes a
got,
difference,
obviously
doesn't it?
you've got some strength about you to be able to do all of those
Yeah,
things that
thinking
you do.
someone in their 60s is feeling like that. And
I
I just have
I
to,
see people in their
I have to remove
40s.
myself for 1 minute because I've locked a door and someone needs to come in. So
Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so I actually
with,
see people in their 40s that the same things going on. Like it's just, it's so sad to see it.
Does your
and that's what I was going to
partner do
say,
it
it's
too?
any age.
Yeah.
Powerlifting.
So Pat has always trained at the gym. He's not ever trained as a power lifter in the past. But when we actually met Maddie Ticker on Saturday, right? So they came to the venue. So it's going to be held at Dolphins. So they came to the venue to check it out. And Maddie has got quite the strong accent. And he just looked at Pat and he said, oh, so you're going to compete? And Pat said, oh, I've never competed before. And he said, why not? Right? Why not? So Pat has a very strong bench press. So he can do 130 kilo bench press.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's never really focused on the squat or the deadlift until I've, you know, pushed him a bit to do so. But now, after talking with Maddie on the weekend, today in the gym, he's like, I've got the Maddie effect. So it looks like he's going to compete in bench only at the event. So I'm super excited about that. And it was funny because Maddie just said to me, you've got to train him to, you know, get him to the comp. And I said, Maddie, I have to get him to listen. And
we don't try and do that with our partners.
it's tough. It's
not.
absolutely tough. And so the first thing Pat said when he finished his session this morning, he said, I did listen to you.
Oh, goodness.
I said, awesome, honey, you're going to be a champion.
Yes.
Awesome. So just before we wrap up, there's two things. I know you've bought a camper thing too. Just so share that for a minute. And
yeah, sure, because it is just like a cubby house, right? So we bought a slide-on camper, so we can take the camper on or off the vehicle. So we bought a Toyota Hilux single cab, and we upgraded the GVM so that it could take the weight of the camper. And the camper itself, it's literally like a fully decked out caravan, but sits on the back of the four-wheel drive. So we can park it in a normal car space, which is fantastic. It just looks, it looks huge. Yeah. But anyway, it's great. So it's got a queen size bed, which is super comfy. It's got a shower and toilet, fridge, microwave, stove, sink, aircon, cupboards, heater, and you know, the little kitchen lounge table area. Plus, you know, there's another shower on the outside. It's just absolutely fantastic. So we can camp it up. We can put the legs down, raise them up, do whatever, so we can then use the vehicle to go and drive and do whatever without.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
And you are a grandma too, aren't you, Jan?
I am. So I have, from my middle son, I have 3 sons. My middle son, I have 2 grandsons and a granddaughter, and bonus grandkids between Pat and I. He's got, his eldest daughter is his ex-wife's child, and so she's got 2 girls and a boy, and then Pat's kids. So between us, we've got 13 grandkids.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, so we don't see all of them, but the ones that we do have the privilege of seeing, they're just amazing, and they're growing way too fast, and they just love Nana and Poppy.
That's awesome.
Oh,
and Jan, just with both businesses, how can people get in touch with you if they've decided, right, I'm going to powerlifting, or I want to know how, you know, more about getting my web SEO prepared.
Excellent.
Tracking.
Thanks, Janine. Okay, so BizConnect web design is bizconnect.com.au. And Over 50s Health is the name of my business. So it's over50shealth.au.
Fantastic. And I'm sure that there's people that are going to being inspired by you and your powerlifting. Thank you so much for sharing all of that, Jan. It's just wonderful getting to know each one of, we've been on here for 2 years and then discussing these different points. It's always exciting and always learning. So that's another conversation with the Morning Team Marketing Misses. Remember, when you find us on YouTube, to comment, leave some feedback on what you've enjoyed, what you'd like to get to know about us. We'd love to hear from you. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.